Welcome back to Western Pennsylvania. A viewer had asked me about lubing the drive shaft on the Suzuki Boulevard. This is a Suzuki Boulevard C50, a 2012. And I had to put a new tire on, so now I can take that unit out and show that. There's splines up in the front end, and they should be lubed. And when the bike was new, a lot of times they don't have either any on or just a little dab. You don't really load it up, I'll show that. You just put enough on it to get a little bit of lube on it. So I'll be showing that, and I always gear my videos for the newcomer. So I'm going to show how to take the wheel off of here. There's a lot of them on YouTube, but I'll show mine real quick. So if you know how to take your wheel off, you can just go fast forward past that to where I work on the shaft itself. So that's what this video is going to be on, the lube and the shaft. If you're doing this, you could change your oil in your final drive here. I have to look it up and see when I changed mine. I might change mine, I might not. Here's a drain plug, here's a fill plug. Drain it all out, fill it till it's just even with the hole, put this cap back on, you're done. So to take the wheel off, there's a plastic cap right here, and if you feel under it right there, you go the whole way around, you'll feel this little slot where you can get a screwdriver in to pry that off. That's to hold this end of the axle. Now there's a little slot there. When you put it back on, put that on the bottom. I like to do that because you put it on the top, water might go in there. I don't know if it would seal. I don't think it would. But it's better to put it on the bottom. That's the way I put it on. Now we're over on the right hand side of the bike, right under the exhaust pipes. This bolt right here you want to take off first on this side. I'll put it in that arm just to hold it. I know where it is. You can drop that down. Now that's to hold your brake. Here's another rubber washer come off of it. Now you should be able to push this in and unscrew this. See, I'm pushing the brake like it's going on. And we'll set it back up later. We don't have to. You could measure it and see where it was, but I can just tell by the brake pedal. So unscrew that, let it come back. Now that'll drop. Watch, there's a washer and a spring on this part. There's a spring and then a washer up here. Take it off, and you want to take this little pin out, this pin with a hole through, and lay them down. I put them right under the bike. I know where they're at. Now we're going to get a wrench for the axle here, up in there. The axle nut up in here, and then one to fit the other side and break the axle loose. So I've taken the axle nut off right here, and there was a washer on it. Now when I push this back, I'm going to get it from the other side, from the left side. I'm going to try to get a pair of pliers on it and wiggle it and lift up and down on the wheel. This spacer will come out, it'll drop out, and what it'll do is let you enough room to get this wheel out of here. So let me try to pull that out and get the wheel down. I got the wheel out, and on the axle I used a 17 millimeter on this end. The other end, I couldn't remember what I used. It's a big nut and a 7/8 American size fitted. So that's what I broke that loose with. I have a stool I wheeled over here, and I put my leg right under the tire, and I moved it up and down, pulled the axle out, got it out. When you drop your wheel down, you want to pull it back so you don't hit that rod for the brake. You don't want to bend that. If you happen to push on it and bend it, make sure it's straight before you put it back together. And here you can see the tire didn't have much left, and it's like some places it's worse. I mean, it was due, plus inspection time. So, and then another thing is I'll check the brakes. I'll clean them, take them. Look, the dirt in there, they're really dirty. There's a lot of brake left, but I'll clean all that up, get the dirt out of it. In there's a lot of dirt. You can see That really needs cleaned out there. In there, it's just brake dust, because that's all sealed up. I'm on the left side of the bike, and I need the key to remove this cover. And then I want to look in here. I'm going to take this cover off. Now this bolt right here is just for looks. So all the rest of the bolts are on there, so I can take this off. I'll get this off. Then this plastic thing, I might have to move my strap out of the way to get this. This just pulls off. I believe it pulls off. But let me get this part right here off first. I loosened this cover back here. I should have thought, I knew I was going to do this. I should have had this lift on the other side. But I got this loose and it just won't come out of there. I think there might be a screw up in there. I'm not sure. But I'm going to have to take this cover off of here, right here. There's, I think, just 2 bolts in it. And another thing, when I take this off, I can check my overflow bottle, see how it is. I have the Evans coolant in it, so I want to see how it's doing. And since you're going to have this cover off, if your bike's a little older, you may want to do what they call the complete clutch adjustment, where up on the steering, or up on the clutch lever, you loosen that up there, you'll loosen this one, and there's an adjustment in here. You could look it up. I think Brian Glenn showed it on one of his about the full clutch adjustment. He had a bobber he was working on, and he did it and shows it. So I'll take this cover off, then I can get this one off. So I don't have to take this cover off to get this back one off. I found there's a bolt right up here at the top, right under back from your tool bag. So there's 3 of these that Allen Key uses to take out. But I took my bolts out of here because I do want to take this cover off to look at my overflow bottle. That's an expansion bottle for the radiator. So I have these 2 covers off. This one in here, I wouldn't have had to take off right here, the smaller one. But taking off the big one, then I could see my bottle. And like I said, I never put water in this because I have the Evans coolant, and I can see it's up to there, so that's good. It's taken me a little while to remember what I took off, because it's been a while since I've done this. But if I show to take something off and then it's not right, I'll explain about, well, you didn't have to take it off. And I think this, I believe, yeah, it just unsnaps that plastic thing there. Okay, so we're all right to there. Now, if I can remember how, I'm going to take some stuff off down at this end, and there's a piece of subframe here that unbolts, and this piece comes off so that then you can get this out. So let me look it over. To get this cover off over here, it was up against here, so I loosened my strap a little bit, and then I just shifted the bike, slid it over a little bit. I have room on the thing, so I'll tighten my strap back up to hold it there. Now I'll have to look it over and try to remember exactly what I took off. I know there was some stuff I took off that I didn't have to before the first time I did it, but let me look it over and then I'll pick it back up. Okay, I looked over this, and you only have to take off the top one, this one, and this one at the bottom. Like I said, this one here is just for cosmetics. It gives it a nice look. You can see if you turn it over, it's just got a nut on it and it don't go no place. So you have 3 to take this off. Now, like I said, the one in here, the smaller one, you only have 2 bolts to take it off. You might as well take it off and, you know, do that on your clutch if your bike, especially your bike's a little older. So now I got a more light here too. Let me rearrange this to get down in here. So what you're going to be taking off is this bolt here and here. These chrome ones don't take off yet. You just want these two, and it takes a number 8mm for this right here. This holds this on. So take those three off next. Then up in here, it's kind of hard to see. I'll try to get the camera in there. There's two bolts that hold this. Now this comes apart right here. You take this off, and I kind of think you maneuver it, but anyway, this piece is a subframe and it comes off. It's looped around here, it's bolted on here, and it goes up here, and there's two bolts. So let me get started on that. I have this one broke loose. I'm taking it out, and that's a 8mm Allen bolt to take this out. Then I think it's a number 10mm to take this. Now you have chrome acorn nuts there. You want to take off the regular bolt. There's two of those. Take those out. I put them all together right down there. Now let me reset the camera, and I'll show you there's two more bolts to take out. So now you're taking off this subframe. If you follow this up, and you'll see this bracket here, you don't have to take this bracket off. I have a long extension on this little socket set, and I remember how I did this, and that's a 10mm. And if you put it right on this side here and slide it back in there, you just got enough room to get on that bolt on the bottom. Then you can just use your socket on a regular wrench right there, or on that bolt, and take that off. Now I can get this back here on this one, and that's 10mm. It's a little tight quarters, but it fits. It's better than taking this off and then have to put it back on, because you don't need to. Let me go off camera and take those two bolts. I have them loose. Take them out. I have my two bolts out of there. I took them out. Now if you grab this subframe right here and just bring it outward this way and up, it comes right off. You can see on this how it has this piece that goes right over this. It lays right on there. Now all these rubber parts, there's two here and two down here. You have to watch, because there is metal sleeves that go through there, so when you tighten it ain't squashing the rubber so hard. You'll have these little metal sleeves, so make sure they're all four in there, especially you go to put it back together. These two bolts down here and these two that I took out of here. So I'll lay this down. Now you can see I'll be working right here. The 3 acorn nuts is next, and I believe I take those 3 off, this unit slides back and out. And I change this oil inside here when I change my oil on the bike, so I have to check the mileage. If it's getting close, I could check, or I could change this. And as I said, you take this plug out, drain it real good, put it back in, open this up and fill it till it's right at the bottom. It'll like be overflowing a little bit. Just let it settle down, put this on, you're done. I've taken a 14mm socket, and I'm taking these 3 chrome acorn nuts off. That's in there pretty good. There, it's coming. That's the third one off. Now I'll just take this unit, wiggle it, and slide it back. And you can see it come right out of there. Now when you pull this clear out, there is the splines on the end that goes up in there. Now I had put a little grease on here. It was dry. This was definitely dry when the first time I took it out. Another guy showed this, like I said, Brian Glenn showed it on his Suzuki Boulevard he made into a bobber, and his had just a little bit on, like they dabbed it and that was it. So I'm going to clean this. I'm going to clean up in that hole. Now when you pull this out, up in there, that thing dropped. It's on a what do you call it, a joint. But when you go to put it back in, all you have to do is, I'll show you right here, and then I'll show it again when I put it in. And right there, I'm hitting against it. And you have to wiggle it. I'll do it after I get it cleaned and I go to put it back together. But what happens is, pull this out. You might hear that drop up there or whatever. Don't worry about it. You can get it back together. It's hanging down a little bit. So when you put this in, you want to kind of go at the bottom. You don't want to go straight. You'll feel it, bump it against it. Put this in, try to push it down a little bit and just kind of turn this back and forth. You can grab it in here, see? I'm grabbing it right here and turning it. Turning this unit. So I'll turn it and finally the teeth will go together and you can push it in and it'll pick it up and you'll be back in. So let me clean this rod off, clean all this right in here, and then I'll go from there. This thing's pretty heavy too. And I'm loving this shaft drive. No belt to, or you know, belt or chain to have to line up and all that. The belt you need, I think you have to have a tensioner check or something on it. But I didn't put much. I put a little more grease in there than I thought. But you don't really have to load it up. You just want someone that's spline up there. And then the shaft itself, I put a little bit of grease with my fingers just to coat the metal, because oxidization might get to it or whatever. That's all you want the grease on the shaft itself for. But you want a little bit on them splines up there. And like I said, the bike maybe never had that done. There's probably, you know, might not even be any on it at all. Mine, this one was dry. And I know the guy that had it, he never took that out. So, let me clean this up and I'll come back. I have my shaft over here ready to clean, and what I'm going to use is some paper towel and carb cleaner. You could probably use brake cleaner too, but I don't like to spray it in there. I like to spray it on my paper towel and then just use it to clean this old grease off. And one thing you have to watch on this is, hold on a minute, this gasket right here. Be careful of it that you don't break it. I'm going to clean all this off real good and then re-grease it. You could use wheel bearing grease on this. It's thick. I believe you could use moly grease. And these splines down here at the end, I'm cleaning real good. And like I said, when the first time I took this out, there was nothing on it. And I don't know why they didn't even just put a finger of grease on it. So I got that clean pretty well. And then I'll show you the grease that I like. Clean that. Then I'll be cleaning all this metal before I put it back on. Around here you get a lot of that dirt. because you have oil in here, and you can do this without changing your oil in the rear end. But if you haven't changed it, you should change it, like I said, every time you change your motor oil, because you get a bottle of it and it lasts a long time. You can do probably maybe 3, 4, maybe even 5 times. You can fill it out of one bottle, and I'll show you what I use in that. Then I want to get right here and get this out by this gear here. Then I'm going to be putting a little grease in here, and then when I go to put it together, the wheel part I want to grease so that these are all greased. And you don't have to really load it up. What I want to do is get a Q-tip, get down in there while I have it off, right in here by this seal, get all that grease out of there. But the end of it looks really good, because you're going to have grease that you put on it up inside, and you can't get way up in there. I'm just going to clean what I can reach, the hole that goes up where the shaft goes through. So I'm using Q-tips in here, and you can see I get a lot of that old grease out. Might as well replace it when you're here. It's really got a lot in there. It just keeps coming and coming, but that's what I want. I want it out of there. You can see just gobs of it. Then when you take your wheel off, you always have to watch, because down inside is this sleeve. It's smaller on this end. This end goes in first, so if it comes out and it falls, put the small end in first. This is a bigger end. It goes right down in here. And then when I put the shaft, the axle back in, I coat it just like I would this, just to keep oxidization off of it and keep it clean. And this, I can get some of this off here. That has a seal right there. Get a little more. And it's getting pretty dry. Now, as I said, to grease this, you could use moly, you can use wheel bearing grease, marine grease. I love marine grease because it's made for water and stuff. You get any water around it, you know. I've used it. Then I come across the grease that I want to show that I'm going to be using is this red, premium red grease. Extreme pressure. This doesn't have any pressure or anything. But on the back, if you read it, it's about high velocity oil plus stuff, and it's anti-wear and antioxidant properties. That's what I like, anti-wear and antioxidant properties, which means it's going to keep oxidization off of it. And you can see it's red. It kind of reminds you of silicone. You can, you know, you have regular silicone that's clear and different ones, but you have a red silicone, and that's for high temperature. And if you can see, I'm just putting enough right there to coat it. I don't have to gob it on real high. I'm going to put a little bit on this end like that. Then I start wiping it on this shaft. That way the shaft doesn't oxidize. It's pretty well sealed up in there, but still, you know, it ain't going to hurt it to have that little bit of grease on there. Now, where this goes up in that tube, I'm going to clean that out, but I am not going to use paper towel. You have to use a rag, because paper towel, you put it up in there with grease, like this I can wipe off and see. up in that hole, you might not see it and have some paper towel in there, which wouldn't be good for it. So use a rag for it. You can spray a little carb brake cleaner on it, whatever, and you know, take something and just kind of push it up in there, but keep a hold of the rag so you can get it back out. But you could always fish it out, I know, with a piece of wire or something. You know, I mean, you ain't going to shove it way up in. I'm just going to clean what grease I can see there, and that's good enough. See, I'm just coating this light just to get that so it's covered. And that's the same way you'll do your axle for your wheel when I put it back together. Then, let me see if I can get a little closer. Now, for down in here where I took all that grease out, I take a little screwdriver, flat screwdriver, and I just start putting some down in there. And I'll just work the whole way around and put a nice coating. It'll be ready to go back in. I have this greased. I have all that grease in there, and I pulled this spacer out. Cleaned it off even. Might as well when I'm there. Put a little bit of that red grease on it. That's a good bit. I don't need that much. Just enough for a coating. I can work it around just so it's coated. That's all I worry about. And like I said, it keeps oxidization off of it. That's a little bit much, but that's good. Maybe try to take a little bit more off. See, that's what I mean. You don't want it build up. You just want it like just a little coating on it. That's all you need. There, that looks good. Then I stick it back down in there. That's ready to go back on the bike. So I'll clean that hole up in there, this end of it, so it'll be in here, that tube that this goes in. I'll clean that. I don't have to put any grease on it, and this will be ready to go back in. So I'm about ready to put this back up in place, and before you put it in place, before you pick it up even, put a flashlight and look up in there, and you'll see the female part that goes over this. This is a male end, you have the female. You'll see it kind of laying off to the side a little bit, maybe hanging straight down. You don't have to bother with it. You just got to put this in there. I looked, it's down and to my right a little bit. So when I put this in, I'm going to go up and try to get in about that spot. And as I said, I'm going to turn this back here like this. It'll help mesh up those little splines. Now, let me get up here a little closer. Now I feel like I'm right on the edge of it. Now I'm going to turn that. And it's kind of a fishing thing. But it will go in. Just takes a little time. Just don't force it. There, it went in. That's all there is to it. Just like I said, don't force it. Don't get frustrated. If you try and can't get it, set it down, go get a cup of coffee, whatever. Take a little break, go back to it, you're refreshed. And there was these little washers on the outside here. They're yeah, they're metal, they're real thin. You want to make sure you have them. Let me get one of the nuts just started to hold it there. Now, as I was turning that, I would back off a little bit, go in again, try it, back off. You know what I mean? Because when they go together, you're hitting it and turning it, you're going to get it in there. Like I said, it's kind of a little fishing thing. This I bring up a little bit so that end of the shaft goes down, and I come over to my left a little bit because I knew the shaft thing up in there, the coupler, it was to the right. Oh, and right there, now that's the way it'll be bolted up. Now I want to turn it. I can feel it turning. I'm turning this gear, or this spline thing back here. Yeah, it's turning real nice. It's real stiff to turn because you're turning internal parts of your motor. So there, and I'll put the acorn nuts back on. And then sometimes, man, you get a bolt nut, you cannot get started. What I always do is, if I have trouble, I get Lois and say, let's have a cup of tea out front. Go out, sit down for a while, come back, it goes right on. It's just, you know, don't want to go on. I got them 3 little fine washers on. My hands are greasy too. I gotta wipe them off. But you can see it's not that bad of a job. A lot of these jobs like this, they're time consuming, but it's worth it because then you get to know your bike inside out. And like I said, I don't know why they don't lube them. There it goes. See, just gotta get it on there just right. There we go. Come on, you monkey. There it is. Okay. And then see all this, because there's oil around here, you get that grease on it. You can take Awesome's the best I like. Get it at the dollar store, Awesome, and I spray the paper towel and wipe it. Man, it takes all this crud off. Make sure your spacer's in there. So let me tighten this up and then I'll take it from there. I have this bolted up, and I started up here and just snugged it a little bit. This one, then this one. I kept rotating as I tightened them, got them tight. And one thing important is you want to put, when I took these off, I could tell there was Loctite on them because you had to really turn them hard to get them off. If yours is real easy, put just a little drop of Loctite on the threads before you put these on. You don't have to load it up. Just like a small drop is all you need. That way the next time you want to take it off, it won't be so bad. Then this subframe, I call it a subframe, I cleaned it real good, and there's a rubber piece in here, and then these rubber pieces around these bolts. You have 4 of them. I wiped them real good with Armor All, and it just keeps the rubber soft and nice. So what I'm going to do is, now I'm ready to put this back in. I put it in. You have to kind of raise it, and it goes right like that. So when I put it in, I actually have this bottom out just a hair so that this hook, and then I lower it down on it, and then it'll go right in place. So do it again. There, just wiggle it around, it'll go. So now what I want to do is, and I believe I can even see it, there was a little Loctite on that. It's good enough, I don't have to add any more. That Loctite stays on there. I want to start this one in, and I don't want to tighten it clear up. you want to get them all in. So if you have to wiggle it a little bit to get them in the right spot. And if the camera picks it up, you can see a little bit of blue on that right there. That's that Loctite. And I don't have to put any more. That'll work. You can see it on there good. It looks like the threads are messed up, but that's what it is. It's Loctite. You can always tell, because if you break them loose and you can't just spin them out, you got to keep using a ratchet. They usually have Loctite on them. And it's a matter of just there, that one's going. I think you just don't want to cross thread them. Yeah, that one's just started. That one just started. Now that has Loctite on, so they're a little tough. What I'm going to do is very easily is just start them a little bit with this. Yeah, it's going. I don't have to push very hard. But you can't just spin them in by hand. That's that Loctite on them. Okay, you leave them. You don't tighten them yet. Then I have the two down here. And they got Loctite on them too. I bumped the camera. Can't get my foot around here. And I have one there. Goes back in there. And next week, this is Friday. I know we're going to have nice weather today, tomorrow. Let's see, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are supposed to be pretty decent. And then I think Saturday or Monday, a chance of rain, Monday and Tuesday. We've had so much rain lately. And because of my leg, I let this inspection run out on this because I couldn't ride. So I didn't take it down. It just ran out, so I can get out and get it inspected. But I wanted to put that new tire on. Now, the guy that left me the comment and asked me about this, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. And I think I deleted my emails, you know, and I don't know which thing you had it under, you know, which video. So what to do is leave me a comment on this and tell me if this is what you wanted to know. But I believe this is what you was asking me about, you know, the lube and the because I had this on before and then I took a lot of videos down. I shouldn't have. I did. I wasn't going to put any more on. I was going to quit it. But then I thought, well, you know, I'll do it. And my leg, I went to a specialist guy or whatever, and he looked it over, and it's still discolored. A lot of the skin was peeling. It looked like a suntan, or you know, when you get sunburnt and your skin peels. And it had burned a lot. And I mean, that was a lot of pain going through that with these torn ligaments. My right foot just turned over, and I tore there's 3 ligaments out there. I tore them all. And he told me it's going to take a while to heal. And it is. It's been quite a while that I did that. But I had a brace on. Then I went, I had the big boot they give you. You put it on, then you inflate it. And it keeps your legs straight, and it really helps. I still got some pain pills. And but I've been working without it. The one day I come out, oh, was it sore? So I actually worked that day out here cleaning up. I had the brace on, and it helped. But that's why I let the bike go. So my leg's coming. Now I tighten this one first, then I can tighten these, and then that down there in the frame, and it's ready to go. Well, I hope this helps somebody. You know, you want to lube it and check yours, especially when you're putting a new, if you're doing your work yourself, and say you're, like I do my own tires, I put them on. And this long thing, it'll reach both of them. It'll just go back in there. First time I did it, I took this off. I'm like, well, I can't really get in there. Then I thought, I'm down here. I would have had to take this off. This is connected to this, so that whole box would have had to come off. So I took these bolts out, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, oh man. And then there's more. Then I seen this fit right back in there. There. Yeah, this one, that top one, I got to get just this socket like this. There, that's good. So that's it. Turn this light off a minute. That halogen light gets hot. So, as I said, if you're the gentleman that asked me about this, let me know, and that you got it. I'm going to try to find where you left that comment so I could even, you know, send it to you or whatever to make sure you see it. But I believe this is what you were talking about, because that's what I had up about that. So I can get ready to put the wheel back on, put my covers back on. Brian Glenn, Two-Wheel Obsession, if you put full clutch adjustment, he shows that, and that is so easy. And while you're there, you take off one more cover and you can get right to it, and he'll show the adjustment. If you can't possibly find it, somebody could leave me a comment and say, I just can't find it, could you do it? Because it's easy. I could do mine to show you. That's not, you know, just takes a little time, but I'll show it. Yeah, I should have had the bike the other, or the lift on the other side. I didn't realize it because I knew I'd be working on this side. Put it up, and then I went to take that cover off. The wife come out, and I'm like, I can't get that cover off. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to put the wheel on, set it down, jack it back up, and then have to take it back off. So I said, yeah, you know, I got plenty of room. I can just loosen my strap, push the back end over a little bit. So I had Lois go on the other side and watch. And on one of my videos, I talk about taking it. Well, we took in the cat, and it had kittens, and she had 6, and only 2 survived. And them 2, oh, they're everywhere, man. They start wrestling, them 2. I am so glad that, you know, more than one survived, because then they have each other to play with. And they just go at it. I'm in bed, they start wrestling on top of me, and they're running up and down lengthwise on me, across my head. One scratched me right by the eye here someplace, I think over here. Cut it. Oh my goodness. Then the other night I'm in bed, they woke me up. They get the eye, they understand. When they were small, they'd have to, you know, like really pull themselves up on the bed. No, now they can jump. One jump, they're up on the bed, and these guys are still small. They found out they can go up under the cover. So they get up under the cover, and they come up, they're around my legs. One comes up, he's smelling my butt. I take him, put him down, right back up. So I got to pull the cover up and put it under my legs so he can't get in. That little joker went down to the end of it and found a way in there, come back up. And you can't get mad, they're so cute. So what do? You give them a kiss and put them down. Reward them. But them 2. And then when we're in there, it's just like having, well, they're your kids, but I mean like children. Because Lois said the other day, she goes, listen, she goes, how nice and quiet it is. They're both asleep. Don't say their names, because they're starting to understand their names. Oh my goodness, but they really livened up the place. I'm glad we have them now. Oh my God, that was crazy. Take that cat to get it fixed. Oh, it's been fixed. They shaved it. She's been fixed. Come home, and then she started, you know, Lois said there's something wrong with her. And I look, and I see all this blood, and I'm like, what the hell? And then there was something coming out of her. Yeah, it was kittens. Oh my goodness. So we call them 2 little miracles. Well, they wouldn't have survived without their mother if they'd have been outside. she wouldn't have survived because she still had one kitten in her that didn't come out. It would have turned to an infection and killed her. So all three of them wouldn't have made it. So maybe it was meant to be that, you know, and the mom's good with them. She's getting them off getting milk now. She don't want to do it anymore, and they're eating good. They're eating dry food, canned food. They'll eat anything. Man, when you go to feed them, they're the first ones there, and we already have 2 cats, so we're up to 5 now. But the 2 young ones, oh my God. So I hope this helped you, and if not, entertaining. Like I said, I don't put any commercials on my YouTube stuff. You know, I don't put any beginning, like, you know, a lot of guys put the music, a long introduction. It wastes time. You know, you watch it every time you watch somebody, I fast forward it. If I see a lot of commercials on something, I really want to watch it, I don't watch it. Go to something else. I ain't gonna sit there through all them commercials. I don't want any commercials on mine. If there was ever a commercial on mine, YouTube put it there, and it's a wonder they don't. But when they start that stuff, I'll just quit making them because it ain't worth it. I mean, nobody wants to sit through that, and some of them you can't skip. It's nice when it says you can skip it in so many seconds. Man, I hit that button, get off of it. So, to the guy that asked me about that, there you are. It was not that much more, you know, because I had to take the wheel off anyway. Just sorry it took so long because I wanted to wait till I, you know, got ready for that wheel, and I was going to wait till fall, but that inspection is the end of September for the, or no, June. Yeah, June. I think June. Beginning or ending of June. End of May, I have to have it inspected because June it ran out. So now I can take it down. Like I said, I'll probably wait till next week because tomorrow's Saturday. The guy's usually busy. I don't call him. I usually just get down. I went to school with him and his brother and that run this place. And I take it down, and they know I take care of my bikes and everything, and they just go over it. Thanks for watching, and have a good day. I know I'm going to try to.